You are listening to America's Best Shops podcast, a show created to inspire shop owners to achieve optimal success in their business. I'm your host, Brad Kilgore, best-selling author of the book Double Your Custom Shops Customers. I'm also the founder of Custom Shops Marketing, a leading digital marketing agency that works specifically with automotive, RV, and motorcycle shops. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, lessons they've learned, and how to find success in the industry.
Well, howdy, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to this really cool roundtable that we've got going on here. I am surrounded by some of my best friends from the seven-figure agency arena. These are all folks who are very, very smart in the marketing agency world. They know all sorts of things about marketing, but what we're really here today and what we're really going to geek out about is about AI and really how to implement some AI and best tips about implementing AI into your own marketing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started, and we'll just go around the room here. Laura with Activation, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do and who you work with?
Thanks, Chris. Yes, it's exciting to be on the AI expert panel here. And Activation, we primarily work with ag equipment dealers, precision ag dealerships around the United States and elsewhere. And we like them to stand out online as much as they do face-to-face when they're talking to their growers. And we've worked really hard on digital footprints when it came to their websites, their social media, et cetera. Now we're really focusing on how does AI take that and amplify it further.
Love it. Love it. All right, Jen, why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, and who you work with?
Okay. I'm Jen Krigo. I have Margot. We do digital marketing for wellness clinics and medical spas. We really focus a lot on brand strategy and what we call reputation-driven marketing. And like Laura said, we really use AI to really amplify what we're able to do for clients compared to what we used to. So, yeah.
Awesome. Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and who you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. Brad Kilgore here from America's Best Shops. And we work with vehicle repair shops, whether you're a motorcycle shop, automotive, RV, truck repair. We help all those types of businesses get more customers from the internet. Been doing it for a long time, and we're really excited to be able to help as many people as we can.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. All right. And John, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you work with?
Okay, so it's John Clendenning, Carpet Cleaner Marketing Masters. I've been in the cleaning industry since high school. Never been employed by anybody else. Always self-employed, and started helping carpet cleaners market better, grow a better business way back in 2007 as a consultant, as well as running my businesses. And almost 6 years ago now, started Carpet Cleaner Marketing Masters as a digital marketing agency. But it's also coaching. We a company as well. We help home cleaning services, carpet cleaners get their marketing right, understand their role in the company, use people like us and good vendors to keep getting the message out about their unique business and help them grow as well so they can survive through even downturns in the economy.
Awesome. Awesome. And my name is Chris Hunter. I am the Chief Marketing Officer of roofingsites.com and the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. I work with roofers, and we're on a mission to help 100 roofing companies double in size before 2028. So if you are one of those, love to help you. But that's not what we're here for. All right. So let's talk and geek out a little bit here on AI, right? I know I'm in AI every single day. We were just talking about this, and I probably have 100 chats with ChatGPT just from today. Laura, why don't you share with us some of your best tips?
The first tip that I'm going to start with is just pick one tool. I think that's probably the thing as I'm working with clients and talking to them. They have questions about why use this over that? What would I recommend? And I think whatever tool is working for them is the one they should focus on today, because it does just spread us way too thin if we're jumping and trying to go to the next best thing. So ChatGPT is one that we'll mention over and over again today. And that's the tip I'm going to start with, is if that's the one that seems to fit you the best, then run with it, because you'll just get stronger and you'll have a better understanding on how to use any AI tool moving forward.
100%.
I think
100%.
that's great advice. I mean,
Oh,
if you think about it, there's so many new AI tools coming out literally every day. And, when I think about it, when I go to YouTube anymore and it's like, well, this video's 2 weeks old, it's old news. This video's 2 months old. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to bother watching that because it changes so fast. So I think Laura hit it right on the head, is find something that works well for you, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever one, and then use that. You can always expand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, personally, I mean, I've been in the tech industry for a really long time, and tools come out all the time, no matter what, you know, age that we're talking about. This could be 20 years that we're still talking about, 20 years ago. And I have seen people just, they jump from tool to tool to tool to tool, finding the best thing. And I think AI 100% is it moves so fast, and there's so many tools coming out. You could totally go down rabbit holes and never get anything done, for sure.
And I'm going to just add to that tip as well. Download the app on your phone. And that's something else that you can expand on, because it gives you another opportunity to interact with it. And sometimes speaking via the app and having the actual ChatGPT or whatever you opted interview you also helps that communication. So pick one and then download their app from your Play Store, or wherever you need to download it.
Yeah. How about you, Jen? What's your best tips?
That was a really good one. I think that, so my first tip is that use ChatGPT. Again, you can, whatever your preferred tool is, but I'm just going to use ChatGPT. Use it as a partner. So when I first started using ChatGPT, it was always like, make this email better. And that's basically, for a long time, I mean, that, I don't know about a long time, but for quite a while, that's what I was focused on. I was really giving ChatGPT the instructions of exactly what I wanted it to do. And now it's a little bit, it's just different. I'm asking questions now that has the AI giving me things that by myself I won't think about. So it's just expanding what I'm able to think about, what I'm able to wrap my head around, the creativity, like everything, it's all expanded by changing the way I talk to it, the way I have conversations with it. And that you just do by playing. You just start.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And, I want to add on to that one, is that, um, you know, having an assistant there is one thing, but having an advisor is a whole different aspect, right? And it's something that entrepreneurs just don't have for the most part. We're all in the seven-figure agency. We all have coaches. But for the longest time in my business, I didn't have coaches. I didn't have anybody to go to other than other entrepreneurs that I knew. And so, how do you know you're on the right path? You know, and I think AI is 100% is a good way to do that. How about you,
Absolutely.
John? What's your favorite biggest,
Yeah,
not favorite, biggest tip?
I think I really get a sense that during this conversation, we're going to pull out a lot of ideas that hopefully open people's minds up to how deep you can take it once you figure it out. So everything, like we've talked about, just get used to it, play in the playground, and get better at using it would be my add-on to everything we've said so far. So, have a prompt framework. So there's a whole bunch of different prompt frameworks. The one I like to share with people, I've got about 100 different really deep prompt frameworks, but the basic one that I've taught my entire team, that I teach my kids, I've taught my a buddy of mine that he's a project manager at an auto parts plant. He uses a little bit of AI every day, and I just talked to him last night and said, use the CRIT framework. It's Jeff Woods from AI Driven Leadership, great book to get or listen to, but it's a super easy one. You're going to give the context first. C stands for context. Then you're going to give it the role. Then you're going to give it ask it to interview you, and then you're going to give it the task. So if you think of that as like the context, that's where you tell the story. You talk into a microphone or type, but I prefer just talking that out and say, okay, well, I got this problem and here's what it's all about. And I might even upload a document. I might upload a picture, take a screenshot of something and put all that in, but I'm going to tell it a story first. And then I'm going to say, so I want you to act like a very good whatever. Like I'm going to now dial it in to whatever that thing is I'm trying to solve, whether it's how to make dinner and you're going to be the very best sous chef, or whether it's going to be solving a marketing problem. And then I'm going to say, just interview me, ask me up to 3 to 5 questions, so that you really have the right context before you start trying to answer anything. And then at the end of it, now the task is going to be, once we get to that point, help me solve this problem. And if you give that CRIT thought, and just play with that, that's a really good starting place to make sure that you're starting off on a good footing, and then just have the conversation happen.
100%. Yeah. Good prompting. I mean, there's whole jobs now out there for prompt engineering, right? And they're getting paid top dollar. And it just blows me away that software engineers are now, going down the line on what they're getting
$300
paid.
an hour. I saw it on Indeed. Prompt engineer,
Yeah.
$300 an hour is right around the top rate for that role. It's insane.
Crazy.
I think the
Absolutely.
other thing too is even just on the very simple level is, let's say that you ask ChatGPT to write you a specific type of blog post about something that was important to your business, and you gave it some direction of what you wanted, how many words, and what would be the general content. I mean, you can go deeper than that and start with outlines and what have you. But let's just say you asked it to write you a blog post. And once that blog post is written and you've glanced through it, you might say something back to ChatGPT, because really it could be very conversational, and say, this looks great. Can you now create 10 social media posts, long form, that would coincide with this? And then, if it spits it out and you're like, okay, these look great. Thank you. You don't even have to say thank you, but these look great. But can you make sure there's no case studies, or can you make sure you're not talking about specific things that you don't want in there? And then it learns. I mean, it's following what you're having this conversation about. And so I think that's a key point, especially when you're first starting.
So let's dig in a little bit there, because now we're starting to get a little bit into marketing, right? And I know that Google just came out and said that their human reviewers, right, are going to be discounting AI, what they view as AI content, right? So, Laura, what's your tip so that actually specifically doesn't happen there?
Well, that's definitely the one thing we say is never just copy, paste, publish. We want to have that human reviewer. Our team knows our clients. We, have enjoyed getting to know them over the years. And so that's the reason why we meet with them often. So because we know their tone, because we know their brand, we pull that through. And although AI, it's assisted writing of blog articles, we make sure it is their information within. And we have case studies from our clients. So that is what we can feed in as well. So we do know it's specific to our clients. We know that they've got that historical data, especially in agriculture. We have a lot of field grown data that we want to incorporate. And that's what the growers are looking for. And so that is a tremendous help there. If ChatGPT or whatever may be assisting us to write the blog provides us specifics, we do ask for resources and references,
Mhm.
and we do go through and check. So we make sure it's just not a one-click check. We want to make sure those clicks to that other site is actually a site and actually a trustworthy site. So that is an extra step that we take.
That's a great tip right there, because ChatGPT sometimes goes off the rails a little bit. So yeah, you got to kind of keep it in line for sure. So along all of these lines, Jen, what's another marketing tip that you can provide here for our listeners here?
Well, I think content in general is a really good place to start. So even besides blog posts, if you're looking at content, so for my niche, we use it for like writing profiles and their bios and stuff like that, whether it's for websites or social media, all of that. So yeah, just content in general. Just think beyond blog posts, and it can really do a fantastic job, especially with bios. I feel like people get really held up on that. It's like it's so hard to write your own. You don't want to like be too braggadocious, but you don't want to, not be enough. And so it can be really stressful. And when you're able to just kind of plug things into ChatGPT, it relieves so much of that stress.
100%.
Yeah.
And I find that if you just talk to it, right, using your phone, I love the idea of using your phone because that's the easiest way for me to kind of dictate, and it goes a lot faster, by the way, than typing, especially if you're a slow typer like me. And make lots of mistakes, and especially on the phone, it's really, really hard. So just turn that microphone thing on, right? But just going through that and talking to it, and maybe have it interview you. I like that part too. Of ask me questions. In this case, on the bio about me, so that I can tell my story, and I think that's a great idea, and it can build an entire story about your business right there on your about page and about you on your bio page. So,
Yeah, really help you write like your entire origin story, which then can go into your brand strategy, your website.
yep,
Like, so it just kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
evolves from there.
And us as marketers know this, stories
Yeah.
sell, right? So the more stories that you can tell about you, your clients, your customers, right? And all of the great things that you guys are doing in your business and how you're affecting people, it just generally helps in all marketing, right?
So check this one out if we want to dovetail this stuff together. You're a roofer in your world, Chris.
Hmm.
You're a mechanic. You're in the field. You're, a med spa owner that just walked out of a funny story or an interesting story, sat back in your office. You're a carpet cleaner sitting in your truck about to drive to the next job. You open up your phone, ChatGPT, have your crit or whatever prompting strategy just to get a little bit of a starting point or whatever, and then just say, hey, so I got to tell you this really funny story that just happened in this customer's home, blah blah blah, ran into this problem, it came for this reason, and you're just talking as if you're talking to your buddy beside you, or you called your spouse up to say, oh my gosh, before I head on to the next job, I got to tell you the story. Just do that. At the end of it, your task, turn that into a blog post and 3 social media posts and a Google My Business post that when I get back to the office, I can add with the pictures I just took and post up.
Yes.
I love
How
that.
easy is that? And
Yeah,
you've now
love
just
that.
created a whole bunch of storytelling content, and you don't have to be the influencer. You don't have to be the kid that spent their time on Twitch all day long streaming and now owns a business and goes, hey everybody, I'm here on this roof, look at me, or I'm this carpet cleaner. That's 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 100 business owners. The rest of us, we can do this story, take some pictures on the job, have that little thing happen between, and we get back, it's the same login. So on your computer, there's everything it outputted right in front of you.
Mhm.
Copy paste, clean it up a little bit, add your brand voice to it, and send it to your web team, or do it yourself, put it on your website, and now you got posts and social media. And you can do that once a day if you wanted to, or more
And
often.
to build on that, just so that our listeners pick that up from what John is saying, when he's talking on his phone, like he said, when he gets back to a laptop or desktop and refreshes, that conversation is carried there. So don't hesitate to be recording when you might not be in your normal environment, because it is pulled through to another computer that you're able to edit, review, add to the story, type in whatever facts, upload whatever documents you might want to add to it. So, and then what I usually do, taking it one step further, is that's when I say, can you break this into specific social media, whether it be for Facebook, X, TikTok, whatever. And you can even then say, I would like to do a video on it. Can you provide me with a transcript? And what I like to always say is a teleprompt friendly or teleprompter friendly transcript. And then it'll break it down even more.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Yeah. Well, Brad, what's your favorite tip, marketing tip?
Well, I think it really ties into what we were just discussing is what's happening, what I'm seeing happening is image creation through AI is going so fast that
really good.
I mean, certainly having a good graphic designer on your team or what have you is super helpful, but there are so many AI tools now that are free or very inexpensive that can enhance what you want to do. So if you're going to try to create a week's worth or a month's worth of social media content, for example, and you use some of the storytelling and some of the ideas that John and Laura mentioned, that's one way to start with it. But you can now literally create realistic images or fantasy looking images or however you want them to look, but you can create powerful graphics. There's even tools like Ideogram that can, actually have words that are spelled right, because that's been a work in progress with AI, but it's gotten a lot better. But being able to, so many times we're like, well, I want to post something on social or even in my blog, and I only have a handful of pictures and I haven't had time to do more, or they look really cluttered or messy, or the shop's a disaster, or whatever it is. You can create things that will look very, very realistic and very eye-catching, because at the end of the day, that's a big thing is if you're posting out on social, you've gotten some sort of a story or something out there. Um, if you have something that catches people's eye, that's huge. I did something a few months back, and it's somewhat related, but I had come across it was a it was a powerful saying that I liked. It was about entrepreneurship or about just increasing your value to the world or what have you. And I really liked this saying, and so I went down a road of creating a custom image where it had there's ways you can take your own face or your own images and train the AI how to create images of you doing X, Y, and Z. And so I had created this image of me. It looked like I was in Dubai and I was on this balcony, and it was an amazing photo. Well, it wasn't real, but because it was so interesting and because it was so different, I put it just on my this was just a personal post, and I put it up on social with this saying that I liked, because that was really what I was trying to convey. And people went crazy. I mean, there was like 300 or 400 people commenting on this whole thing, and they were getting my message of what I was trying to say based on this one image. So it can be used in business in so many different levels. You could make it humorous, you could make it professional, you could make it crazy looking, you could do whatever you want. But and then you could easily go into video creation and other things. But to keep it simple, what you can do with images with AI is groundbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the other part of all of that, I mean, you started touching on there, you don't, as long as you've got a headshot, as long as you've got something showing you and you can train, the AI on you, you no longer need to do photo shoots, right? You don't have to go to Dubai to show that you've been in Dubai, right?
I remember that post. It was a good picture.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I've done them too, where I was in vehicle repair shops around motorcycles or around cars or whatever, and I've done it for clients as well. and it looks so realistic that people really didn't even know the difference, and I wasn't there, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one of my tips is, and it's kind of out of the box, kind of a tip, and I shared it with y'all a week or so ago. I created a custom GPT to, and this is completely out of the box, right? But I created a custom GPT that would write a song for me if I gave it kind of some information, like it would write the lyrics for me, right? And you take the lyrics and you feed it into a tool called easymusic.ai, and it created a really freaking awesome song. So I did it for a client. We went through an interview for the podcast, right? And they told their story there. I took that transcript, put that into the songwriter GPT. It wrote these really cool lyrics. I adjusted it here and there, kind of a thing, right? Posted it in Easy Music. In our next meeting, which was like a week later, I played it for her, and she was like crying because it was their story about their business, right? And it was written in like a country, you know, style, and it was just, honestly, you could hear it on the radio. So there's it's little things like that that you can use for customer experience, right? To take it to that next level, I think, so that's, anyways, we're all sharing little tips here, but that was one of mine that I did just recently. And it's just such a cool little thing that literally took me maybe 30 minutes to do, and we already had the content, that I was feeding into that. So, all right.
And it made such an impact on her.
It's a huge impact. She shared it, and she shared it with her husband, who's also her business partner, and he was just blown away. He's like, "This is our song. This is about us." And so she played it in the truck as they were driving, and he didn't know. He's like, "Wait, that sounds like us, right?" This is our story. What's going on here? So it was kind of funny.
That's awesome.
But yeah. All right. Any other tips that we want to share here? I'll just leave it open for anyone who wants to jump in and share something here.
I've got one for the older crowd, because it's one thing I taught a couple of clients recently, because we've got clients that like all different age groups, but some over 50 don't really like, they don't really play in this field, and social media is a hard thing for them, not just posting, but just being on social media, joining like the business owners of your local community groups, interacting a little bit, sort of like going to the Chamber of Commerce, going to the BNI. Some people are great at it. Some people are wallflowers, right? So if you join the ones that are great at it, schmooze like crazy, make business deals, chat to everybody, all that kind of stuff. The wallflowers show up a few times, don't go again, and then there's no value to that, right? So that same group is on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff like that. So I gave the tip to one of our, they're actually just over 60, a couple that have owned a cleaning business for years. And they go, "John, I'm never on social media." And I'm going, "Well, you're going to have to get in these groups, because we're going to share some stuff about you that we want you to share. Hey, by the way, check out this great story, to check out this stuff." And I said, "But you want to be able to engage a little bit first, maybe 5 minutes a day, liking, commenting, stuff like that." "Oh, I don't know what to say." And I go, "You don't have to anymore. You're going to take their post and maybe even some of the other comments and say, how would I answer? What could I put as a witty comment or an intelligent comment back against that?" And go back and forth a little bit with ChatGPT. Go, "That sounds good." Copy paste, right? And so they're now going, "Oh my gosh, John, we answer everything. We're on there for 10. We're in all these different groups on them, all this." And now because they don't know what to say, so they're using ChatGPT to figure out a way to say it for them. And that's, now you're in. Now you're in the club. You're in the cool kid club. So
Love that.
That is very,
That's so
very cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and you can do things like create presentations, PowerPoint presentations using AI. You could create reports for your customers. All these things are push button now, whereas before, for the general person that was not creative in any way, they would have to hire this out. And some of these things now are just, it's right at your fingertips. I mean, it's expanding so fast now that so it's a little off the beaten path, but literally there are AI tools now where that you can have them connect to your screen. Because for me, I am not a spreadsheet master at any level. I can read them and I can move around in them, but I was able to use an AI tool that was free, and it helped me create an advanced spreadsheet that I needed to create. And because it connected to my screen, I told it by voice what I was trying to do and what I wanted to do. It clarified, is this what you want to do? Yes. Okay. And then it said, do you want me to do it for you, or do you want to try to do it? I said, I would like to try to do it. So then it would basically say, okay, do this with this cell and this column and this row. And literally, I became a spreadsheet master for the afternoon, got what I
Mhm.
needed done, and I didn't have to have anybody help me. And this could be utilized in so many different ways other than just a spreadsheet. But this isn't just the future. This is already here.
Yeah, 100%.
And I know with all of our meetings, to Jen's point earlier, um, organization. I mean, it not only gets us to think more, but to organize it, to just kind of what Brad was saying, it is a huge benefit, especially with all the meetings that we're in.
Mhm.
To John's tip of, prompting prep correctly. After any of our meetings now, we're able to run the transcript, just copy and paste from our transcript into ChatGPT, ask it to act as an executive assistant, and it's able to give us our meeting notes, our, the main point, what was discussed, the key takeaways, and the action items. We ask it to put it in a table, and that's what we're able to email. We also ask for that email. What should we follow up and say in this email to this client? And it just streamlines, because now we have everything organized. They can go back and see. We know throughout the week or month, whatever our time frame is with them to get tasks done, they're documented and we're able to follow through.
100%. Yeah,
And
and
think
that's
about
such a
business
great tip.
owners. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
great. And again, dovetail, because every one of these things goes down a rabbit hole to a whole nother thing. And it's like, because it's just gone nuts. You run an office, you're the owner. I was the owner of cleaning business offices for years. I would leave, go on the road for a few hours to drop off coffees at the carpet store and do my meet and greets and all of that kind of stuff and grow the business. I had no idea what Heather was doing on the phones, right? I'd come back and find, like, I'd check her sheet to see how many calls we got, how many bookings, make sure her booking percentage was good, and all of that kind of stuff. I would, if I sat in my office, I'd listen to the call and go, "Oh crap, she's off script," or whatever, like, and have to come and guide a little bit over the years and stuff like that. Nowadays, have all those calls recorded. Just take the transcripts of the calls for the day, for the week, and say, why is our booking percentage dropping? Is there anything you notice? Versus, here's some great calls. Here's the last week. What would you like? Be a script, a sales assistant, a phone sales assistant. How could we get better conversions on our phone calls? Build me a training course to help take Heather from where she was to where she needs to be, and tips and ideas to keep an eye on and to put in front of her on a sheet so that when she's talking on the phone, she can follow along. And those, like, all of that's doable within 10, 15, 20 minutes now, not a whole Saturday and a bottle of Tylenol and too many coffees to try and go, how am I going to solve this problem by next week because we're losing jobs. Now it's
Right.
like it, it's at your fingertips.
And
100%.
AI can interview her and ask her to answer those questions, or him. So
Yeah.
especially if you're training someone, now that they can, mock interview, taking those difficult phone calls, taking those appointment calls, they're able to go back and forth with ChatGPT, or again, whichever one you prefer, and feel that question and answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. I think that's a good point,
And
Laura.
also, if you're doing these things regularly, like, automate them. That
Yeah.
makes such a big difference, to automate these things.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and train, and here's another tip, right? If you've got a geek around like us, right, that can do these kinds of things and get it from point A to point B, right? So recently, maybe a month ago, I figured out how to every conversation that I have, every Zoom meeting, right, that my meeting assistant comes to, I have it automatically putting every conversation into Airtable, which is a database, right? So that eventually I'm going to have that information there that AI can go and see, well, what would Chris say about this, right? So that I'm going to, and my plan is to build something and hand it over to my employees so that I don't have to answer every question that comes across. Because if you're like me, it's you're getting hit at 20 different directions at any given point on questions on this and questions on that. Build and replicate yourself. Okay, it sounds creepy.
Yeah.
It's but think of the future because the tools are going to be so much better in the future, right? So think a year, 2 years from now, if you record every conversation, put them into a database, something, have it where it can retrieve that information and guess what? Build something that will actually answer just like you and be you.
Do
Okay.
you want to hear a sad one? Well, I think it's sad and nice at the same time. I just heard about that idea. We've all heard that, like, I'm sure we've seen those stories on 2020, 60 Minutes, something like that. A young father, young mother got diagnosed with terminal cancer and starts recording videos for their child who's 1 year old that, so I get to know who mom is or dad is or whatever. And like, I just tear your heart apart. I just watched one recently. It was on YouTube, but she was doing exactly that, but with AI. She was teaching the AI everything about her life, everything, talking to it every day, all that kind of stuff, downloaded some stuff, even her own voice, used the voice, all that kind of stuff. And what she was building was an AI version of herself that her child could talk to and come and talk to mom anytime you want because she won't be around in 5 years. Isn't that like,
Wow.
yeah, exactly. And it's just
Wow.
like, so we're talking about it for
About to
like,
start
again, that's
crying
how
here.
cool that's how fast it is already. And it's like,
Yeah.
do that for your business, do that for, but it's a life
Yeah.
thing too. It's like
Mhm.
Yeah.
they blend.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
John, don't you
Yeah.
have a custom GPT that you built that's called Ask John?
Yeah, yes, we do have Ask John. So it's
Yeah.
all my podcasts and all my interview and stuff like that. So the team can just hear, answer somebody in with the type of words I would use. So
I love
That's
that.
Yeah.
awesome.
Love that.
The other
Yeah.
thing I think is a good tip, and I'll keep it short, is, I talk to people that are just, I mean, everybody's hearing about AI. It's all around us, whether it's on the local media or wherever. But so many of them don't really understand maybe what it is. But a lot of them are afraid, and they're like, "Well, oh my gosh, this is scary." I'm like, "Well, if you think of it as scary, maybe it could be, but think about it as a tool that can not only enhance what you do, streamline what you do, but supercharge what you do, you and your team and your business or whatever you use it for. And it's not going away. And it's going to continue to evolve like we can't even imagine right now. So you don't want to look at it with fear. Look at it with excitement and enthusiasm and use it.
With
Yeah.
a student's perspective, I think
Yes.
Yeah,
coming at it that way helps a lot.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I know I
Yeah.
heard a discussion between a business owner and someone that was answering the phones, and they were hearing, and I know that we've got experts on this roundtable that can go more into the virtual AIs. And I know her fear was, wait a minute, they're going to replace me answering the phone. But to the point was, no, this gives you time off. In other words, you'll be here still 8 to 5. It's those after hour calls that can assist and know what needs to be answered. And you guys can go more into that. But I thought that was a fabulous way, again, just to think you're supported. And then as it gets busier, the virtual AI can ask you questions, that customer questions, to get them further down the line so that when you are able to answer the phone call, you as a human feel like you don't have to answer the exact same questions over and over again, like what hours are you open, or whatever common questions that we receive daily. But like I said, I know that there's many experts on this panel that use the virtual AI much more.
Well, and I'll add to that is that what happens if you get 20 phone calls at the same time,
Yep.
right? Unless you have a call center that's picking up and getting those phone calls, they're going to hear a busy signal or something's going to happen along those lines, or it's going to go to voicemail. That's the last thing that any of our clients really should ever have. You should always have something, some way, somehow picking that phone up. Yeah, and ours is called Samantha. It's voice AI assistant, but that's exactly what I say. Is if your office back end staff are not able to pick up the phone, they're at home. They're asleep. They are, I don't know, they're in the restroom or they're eating lunch, right? They're on the phone with another client, customer, whatever. It can roll over to them. Okay, roll over to Samantha to pick it up, and it's a modern voicemail. Except for us, it sets the appointments, which is the most important part for any home services business, I think. So,
Could you imagine if the government, if you've had to call those offices recently, or maybe the utility company
I called
would actually be
yesterday.
this progressive
Yes.
because you don't,
Yes.
press one if it's this, press two if it's that, press
Yes.
three. And you get to press number seven, you go, wait a minute, I didn't hear mine. And, press star
Right.
to start again. It's like, what? And it's like and then eventually it hangs up on you and you go, "Ah, that was
Yeah.
20 minutes of my life and I still didn't get through to anybody."
Right.
Hopefully, like we can do like everybody who's listening to this, if you're in business, you should be thinking of not being that annoying if you missed the phone call. But you should also, like, again, hopefully we're in a world that in a year or two from now, you call the utility company and say, "Hey, I'm the AI assistant. What can I help direct you to?" And you get to talk, and it actually doesn't wait for buttons and stuff like that. Okay, I know what you mean, or did you mean this? And off you go. And eventually you do get to the person you want or the solution you need. We can do that right now for our customers and people that are running businesses right now listening to this. Think about how you can be the least annoying phone call they've ever made, because that's
Yeah.
what you can do right now. So
Yes.
And the cool
Absolutely.
part is that it's not like the old school, like 10 years ago, even 2 years ago, where you would call in and this is voice prompt and you're just saying the same thing over and over and it still doesn't understand,
and it
right?
sounded like Stephen Hawkins.
Right. It's much smarter than that and way better, right?
Yeah.
And that technology is here now, right
Yeah.
now. So,
I think
Right.
if you are a business that actually updates your AI and your systems, because there's still a lot of businesses that are using those systems from years and years and years ago,
yeah.
and they're not all government. Some of them are just big businesses, and
Yeah.
it's just probably more frustrating now because there's better technology out there that so if you're a business that is still using old technology, it's time to update.
And I think the thing we need to mention too is that it doesn't matter how big or small you are. I mean,
No.
this is a technology that fits very well for small business owners as well as large. So you don't have to have the huge investment in technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. And along all of those lines there, what about SOPs, right? When was the
Yeah.
last time you even touched the documentation, or even do they even exist, right? The documentation for your business. How about having ChatGPT help you with your documentation, right? That's one of the biggest things that you could probably do for your business right now. And it's virtually free. So, yeah.
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 And
If
it
you've ever
does
tried to
open up
train,
blind
go
spots.
ahead, Laura. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I apologize. It opens up blind spots of areas where we
Yeah.
think, okay, we just
Right.
so that's a great place back to what John was saying. Have an interview, use that prompt. If you even say, I don't know where to start with this SOP, it will walk you through and ask you questions and outline it. And there's even a checklist that you can ask it to go ahead and provide you with a checklist that you can give to your team. So that makes it a tremendous help that they can literally go through the checklist.
Yeah.
And not everybody knows what an SOP is, but standard operating procedures,
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
systems,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I
And
said
if you're ever
something
trying
to
to
somebody
train
that was very
somebody,
smart recently, and I said something about SOP, and they're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Wow, I was surprised they didn't know."
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you ever tried to train a staff member on how to do something with a piece of software, a CRM, download a list to make a mailing, to do again, this is just going back to 30 years of running cleaning businesses and saying, okay, we mail our database every single month. We do this. We want to separate it. We want everybody who's got pets. We want to send the pet promotion for spring and stuff like that, or the middle of summer when the cat pee stinks the worst, right? And that kind of idea. It's a remind me how to do that again, John. Can you come back over here again, John? Can you show me that? And that was my life. Now with teams of for the digital marketing, it's like I do it once, I record myself, I talk as if I'm teaching like a 12-year-old nephew, like I'm just narrating the whole way through. We've got the video, you got the transcript, and then you take all of that, you put it into a ChatGPT or any other tool, get it to break it down. You can even grab then screenshots, and you just hand this off and say, just watch this. I just did it right. Watch it, follow it. That's what you're going to do next time. And then you start teaching your staff. Now, here's all I did to do that. So you've got anything just in case. We always tell our staff to train up in case they're sick one day. They train up their backup, right? So, but part of it is in the real world. What if they leave? What if we don't want them to walk away with the only one in the team that knows how to solve that problem or do that thing. So everything you do has to be recorded at least once, turned into a procedure document, a playbook, whatever you want to call it, and a checklist. That way you have it, even if that person goes away.
Love that. Absolutely love that. So, all right, just kind of wrapping things up a little bit here, right? Let's touch real briefly. Okay, what is your favorite tool, right? I know everyone's probably going to say ChatGPT, but what's your favorite tool other than ChatGPT that you use either regular or almost regular? Okay, let's start with you, Laura, because I'm catching you flat-footed because you're looking.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, I was just, I can glance over here to see the different AI tools that I use. Yeah, I might have to, because Manus comes to mind, but that's a whole other ball game. So we're not going to go there quite yet with Manus. So I'll say Gemini, because I'm starting to see some differences in the Google tools. So that would be the secondary one that I'm starting to play with more. The next time we do Roundtable, I'll have more details.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Jen, what about you? What's your favorite tool right now other than ChatGPT?
Other than ChatGPT, I'm Perplexity. I use Perplexity a lot. And most of the time it's in collaboration with ChatGPT, but it's even by itself, it's really fantastic.
Love that.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what both of these nice ladies just said. Is I a lot of times will test whatever I'm trying to do in more than one LLM, as they call it, or tool, and so because you're going to get different responses and different information. But I think that I even though I like ChatGPT and I use that one a lot, Gemini has a lot of features, and a lot of them have what's called a deep research piece to them now, where it's literally scraping the internet and can find a lot more information than they could even a few months back. But I like Gemini in a lot of ways because once I'm done, I can hit a button and it will load it. It will create a Google Doc, and so I don't have to copy and paste it. I just hit the button, and my information is now over there.
Love that.
That's nice.
Love that. How about you, John?
Notebook LM. Can't live
I knew
without
you were
it.
going to say that.
Yeah, and you can go deep, you can go lean. So you can upload say for example, you upload an SOP document, something you've written, some procedure in your company. Again, I'm thinking what we do, but also what the user could do. And then just get it to create a podcast so that you can listen to two people, very human voices, just talking about it. But now you can actually interrupt them and go, wait a minute, you just said something there. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And that's on a very simple level. You can create a study guide. You can create a briefing document, all just by one button click, once you've done it. But then you can take it to the superpower of upload everything, like a whole litany of stuff around a topic, have it like digest videos and content and PDFs and you can put out, I can't remember how many I think I've loaded as many as 20 but I think it's way more than that. And it just takes all of that information and now you can ask questions against that. So, and have that podcast and all those kinds of things. So it's just a way to take a whole bunch of content and just digest it in a simple way. So I love it. I use it every day.
How about you,
I think
Chris?
I'm going to have to. Well, for me, it's one. I guess I need to start learning about a notebook LM. I really haven't delved too much into that lately. Honestly, it's been Manus. I went ahead and got into Manus, which is I don't even know what exactly that it is. Honestly, it does a lot of deep research for me though. So recently, I had it do some research to find all of the roofing companies in Houston, all of them, and I had it, research all of the entire metro area, and it came back with 4,500 roofing companies in the Houston area. So, and I wanted it as a really as a reference for my clients that, hey, you're competing against 4,500 other companies. It's okay that you're number two in the rankings, and it's actually pretty good that you're number two in the rankings against 4,500 other companies. So, and we all get hung up in all these different things, but anyways, that's man, this has really been my favorite little kind of go-to, really just in the past like 3 weeks or so.
Yeah,
What
it's
do you say
definitely
we
next
do this
generation.
again next week, since I think this has been so informative?
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
All
and
right.
it absolutely has been informative. I've got stuff that I've written down here. I mean, I've
Same.
been sitting over here taking notes, right? We're
Awesome.
still learning from each other. So, and AI is such a fast moving thing, man. It's and you can't keep up with absolutely everything on it. So, well, thank y'all for joining on this round table. I think that we came up with some really good tips. I really appreciate everyone's help on this and coming in and joining in.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Very much.